Good day. Since Elon Musk bought Twitter in October of 2022, he has made changes in that platform that has made it now amenable and available to quite a lot of news organizations. It is now a market square for every kind of information and ideas. And over the course of these past 3 years, Twitter, now X, is the largest platform, news platform particularly, in over 150 countries. I started a series a few weeks ago that I call X Review as a geopolitical blogger and one who comments about events geopolitically. I feel that Twitter and X is now a very big source of information about what's going on in the world and the different sides and different opinions regarding all that is happening in the world. Twitter is now a marketplace for ideas, and all these ideas are available here on for a geopolitical analyst to be able to make sense of. So my X review is one where I take a deep dive into the news items that fall into my news feed, because the algorithm always chooses your preferences, and my preference is geopolitics. So welcome to my channel, Ebima Mungo's perspective on global affairs. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe. If you have any comments regarding the opinions I express, please put them in the comment section. Let's go in and do our deep dive on the X review for today. The first news I have on my feed today is about an organization called BYD. BYD is China's biggest electric car producer, and BYD has been moving, is showing us really where the world is now regarding automotive technology. The world has really changed, and the world is moving away from ICE cars, international combustion cars, to now electric cars. In China, they produce over 30 million cars, and BYD is at the lead of it. And as an electric car seller, they make batteries. They are very high up in that new alternative technology that is now freezing out all those automotive companies that we used to hear of, from Germany, from Italy, from France. In this particular case here now, what we have here is that the fastest production car in the world now is a BYD Yangwang 9 electric supercar. It reached 496 kilometers per hour. A few months ago, they already broke this world record a few months ago, and now they stepped it up. When it used to be speed, we used to hear of Lamborghini Countach, we used to hear of Ferrari, we used to hear of all the Italian brands there, but it's no more. It's no more. It's now electric cars. The electric technology, because it uses motors, creates a frictionless ability for these cars to move much more faster. If you use a Tesla, if you know, Teslas are one of the most available cars here, electric in America, and Tesla really is very fast, especially the high-end brands of the Tesla X. So BYD have moved up very many value chains. They make small cars, BYD Seal, which is very popular, under 10,000. And then they make high-end cars like this supercar now that they have just used to break the world record. They have a suite of cars, but not only that, they have technology and they have battery. They dominate the battery. They are the second largest electric battery sellers in the world, after CATL. And this just shows how one of the things that makes China the leading manufacturer and the leading technology and the leading hub of innovation now. When one says that China is in the mix as a geopolitical player, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about how China is leading not only in automotive technologies, they're leading in nuclear technology, space technology, in all the realms. In fact, in several technological spaces, you will find that the biggest innovators are the Chinese. And this has given them, we should know that geopolitics, it's all about what you have. You win wars with the technologies you have. And the British were preeminent. They won wars with the big technological advantage they had in cannons and artilleries and paddle boats. And now that technology is not there. The British don't produce anything. The French continue to produce, though, But in terms of scale and in terms of innovation, it definitely is in the hands of the Chinese now. And this is just one of the aspects that they show. We don't want to talk about the high-speed rail. We don't talk about so many other things that make China preeminent in all this. My next story in my feed here now is Estonia is made the mistake of showing Russian flight path. It clearly shows that the planes never were above Estonia. They were only above Estonia for 12 miles exclusive economic zone for fishing. Yes, those planes were on their way to Kaliningrad, and they went over territory that is close to the exclusive zone of Estonia. And Estonia put out this map, and it clearly showed that the Russian planes, but Estonia made a big show of it. In recent times, countries neighboring or near to Russia have become very belligerent, and it is for that reason that President Trump recently, we just got information now that President Trump is considering not allowing those countries to continue to have military assistance from America. It's very clear that these countries want to ratchet up. They want a war with NATO, with Russia. They want NATO to go into a war with them. These are very small countries. The Baltic countries, they are just 6 million in population, but they are very, very big in European institutions. And for that reason, they continue to find problems, a way to ratchet up. They feel that they've had long history with Russia. They were absorbed into the Russian Empire and only got their independence in 1917. They were reabsorbed again into the Soviet state and only got their independence in 1991. They always worry and fear about the Russian state. So they continue to make all these threats against Russia. They want NATO to move into Russia, and they joined NATO in 2004. And because since they joined NATO, they want NATO to do a fight with them, destroy their long rival who has always been by the side of them. America never said much about what happened and all the escalations between Poland, Romania, and Estonia. But today we got this post here which says that the U.S. Mission to NATO is strong, standing firmly with our Estonian allies, and will recently defend all NATO territories. This we didn't get to hear much about. America didn't make any statements apart from a tweet that President Trump made, one that seemed to create an ambivalence about his position regarding what happened in Poland. But by this statement here now, if true, it means that yes, finally America is just trying to show its NATO neighbors that we have not left you, we are still with you. But definitely we are beginning to see less commitment, especially as these NATO countries, the ones very close to the Baltic countries, Finland, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, they have been the most hawkish among all the countries, and it is very clear that they may be the trigger and the spark. It will be there that a war may be coming up. Already, we see a situation here where we see this tweet here says from Olga Bazova, specializing in human rights geopolitical. Yes, he does that. It says Estonian deputies demand an increase in the height of the fence on the border with Russia after Russian jets violated their Estonian space. Indeed, there have been a lot of hysteria in most of those Baltic states. In fact, one minister in Lithuania said that they should shoot down Russian planes, just like the Turks did. Shooting down Russian planes is simply calling for a war. It will mean that Russia will take commensurate measures, blast out some of those ships, or even use one of their very many suites of hypersonic missiles to take revenge, either at an airbase in NATO territory. I think Russia knows that they're at a place where America is very depleted militarily, and may not just want to be having a fight with them. NATO, it's very obvious that the Russians will calculate that America cannot muster the kind of will that will bring them, because they've fought a lot of wars and they've given a lot of materials to the Ukrainians, and it didn't change the war. This is not a time that America would want to start a war, especially at a time they are thinking of pivoting towards China. So the Estonians are feeling the heat, and these Baltic countries are feeling the heat. They're doing everything to make sure that America doesn't move away from Europe. Well, another big story here now is we this is the former foreign minister of Ukraine. He recently escaped from Ukraine. They put a new law that ministers and people of high importance politically in Ukraine couldn't leave the country. And he snuck out of the country. He was until recently the foreign minister. And he made a very clear statement in his post here. He said something, he said something about the demographic bomb, the demographic time bomb going on in Ukraine, the shortage, how so many people have left Ukraine, and that if Ukraine needs to move on, they need now to get people from Nepal, Bangladesh, India, Philippines, and Vietnam. They want that is the only way they can plug the shortfall in manpower in Ukraine. Former Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmitry Kuleba stated the need for massive import of immigrants from Asia. There will be nothing good in the long run for our population. We are in a negative trend, which was the worst in Europe even before the conflict. We we may have to open the country to migrants from Bangladesh, Nepal, India. Yes, this is a reality that is clear now to a lot of people. The demographic loss is one of the tragedies of the Ukrainian war. They've lost a lot of people, not only to the war, but also to immigration. They have estimated to be like 10 million immigrants now across Europe. They are in Germany. They were well received in Poland, in Germany, and in America. But now they are also getting some pushback again as anti-immigrant policies are growing in Europe. So Kuleba has stated what a lot of people have been saying, that the damage to Ukraine is not just in the infrastructure, it's not just in their power plants and the defeat of their armies and the loss of their territory, it's also in the decimation of their demographics, to the point where they will now, to stabilize their country, they will need all these people to come in. No doubt about that. It's also affecting Russia. So we should all know that even the Russians, though they get a lot of people from the Caucasus, from the Central Asia to come work in their country. They have policies about migration also. We have stories here now. I don't know how true this one is. It says breaking. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi says Egypt is ready to defeat Israel again. Indeed, since the launch of the strike against Hamas delegates in Qatar, the whole of the Middle East has united, and Sisi, who is the president of Egypt, has made peace with all the countries that he once had a problem with. He overthrew the first elected president of Egypt by a coup. And when he overthrew him, he wasn't popular because what he did then was he overthrew the president who was a member of the Muslim Brotherhood. Turkey had problems with him. Some other countries also had problems with him. But in recent times, he has reinvented himself. And they have been building up around around the Syrian, Israeli border. Because one of the things that they don't want to do is that they oppose the displacement of the Palestinians into Ramallah. They want to displace the Palestinians. So Israel wants to send the Palestinians into Egypt, into the Sinai, into Ramallah. And for that reason, they have moved a lot of military hardware to the border with Israel. This is beginning to worry the Israelis. The Israelis are now telling Americans to put pressure on Egypt, because they can't now tell if Egypt will use that as a feint and join an Arab attack against Israel. So now Israel is beginning to get really worried. Sisi's rhetoric has gone up dramatically. It has gone up because in the past few years, he's been quiet. He needed to build his economy. But with this newfound Arab unity, he knows that he's not speaking alone now. He's speaking collectively. He's part of a collective that has been condemning Israel and calling Israel all manners of names after that attack, especially as Israel has attacked Iran, attacked Lebanon, destroyed Gaza and all that. So finally, they all realized that Israel with impunity can attack them. In fact, he did say, he put out a statement that if since they host some Hamas delegates, if Israel attacks it, that will be a declaration of war. So this is also causing immense pushback for the Israelis, and they may just have overextended it. There was a big concert in 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 Russia. It's called the Intervention 25 concert, and that intervention is like their own Eurovision. Their own after they were kicked out of the Eurovision contest, Russia was kicked out of quite a lot of things: the World Cup, the Olympics, and so many things. There's collective punishment against Russian athletes, Russian cultural ambassadors. Anytime a singer wants to sing in any country, the Ukrainians are very, very active in pushing European or American or Western leaders to cut whoever is supposed to be taking part in yes, recently a Russian composer was chased out of Italy by by Ukrainian action. So now they created the Intervision, and this ended just yesterday. It was won by a Vietnamese, but before that, a Russian, this is the Russian representative in the tournament. He chose not to be voted. He said the country shouldn't vote for him. So his people didn't vote for him, but his performance was very good. The Chinese performance was also good. In fact, I watched the Chinese performance. I was so surprised that the Vietnamese won. The Vietnamese too was exceptionally good. So Sharma represented Russia and the Intervision 2025 song concert, performing straight to the heart at Live Arena in Odin. He completed as part of a 25-nation lineup in a 3-hour showcase that brought audience to their into the world of global music and culture. So a lot of countries participated in it. Some from Africa. It's supposed to be a friendship thing, and this Russian participant did put up a very, very good performance. Let us just listen for a few seconds.
Я не молчу, ты меня прости, если никак, просто отпусти. И прямо по сердцу ты сказала мне, не могу забыть, эти буквы нет.
Yes, indeed. The Russians are showing us that they are creating their own alternatives to quite a lot of things. Since they've been pushed out of sports, they do have a lot of friends, so they have started to make cultural shows, robotic shows, AI shows. They create a lot of things that bring people to their country. They don't go out like they used to anymore since they're not welcomed in many places. The White House put out a notice that this morning President Trump sits down with at PDOC in the Sunday briefing on Fox. So President Trump really does have a lot of press briefings. He's the most he's been the most accessible of all the presidents America ever had. It may be the fact that we should remember that President Trump did The Apprentice for several years. He was always in the media. He's a very media savvy person in New York. Now he's estranged from New York, but he's a New Yorker by all intent. He was born there. He grew there. He won his first election there as president, but he never had joy there because his vision was conservative, and the New York crowd don't particularly like him. Normally, you would think because he was from New York, he would be having MSNBC or CNN or one of those. No, but his own philosophy is against those liberal visions and ideas. So he tends to go, his go-to media organization is Fox, and he creates access for them. But even then, the fact that he creates a lot of access in the White House during briefings when he has visitors or he's signing any of executive bills makes this one of the most open and transparent presidencies ever. Transparent, I don't know, but at least he also tweets in the generation of the American presidency when they have completely captured by the state security services because they take their phones, limit their access to social media. President Trump is not one of that. He puts his ideas and his plans out there for the whole world to see. This is another one. This is one that is really going on very strong now. Taliban to US, you will not be given a single piece of land. If the US recognizes you officially and builds Afghanistan from scratch, what will you give up? Anyway, this is the Taliban. President Trump recently put out a tweet that he will take he wants to get Bagram Air Base back. He said he wants Bagram Air Base back, and he put out a tweet. And in that tweet, he said they must give it up. He says if Afghanistan doesn't give up Bagram Air Base back to those that built it, the United States of America, bad things are going to happen to happen. President Donald J. Trump. Anyway, one caveat: it wasn't the Americans that built Bagram Air Base. It was actually the Soviet Union, and but they used it extensively during their operations against the Taliban for 20 years. It became a very major hub. But now it has become a center of geopolitics. In fact, I got a very important news that made me wonder and think about what may be the consequence of why do they want this particular air base. It turns out that the Bagram Air Base is right there in the middle of Afghanistan, at the top of Kabul. But beyond that, also, it is close to Pakistan. Pakistan has come into the equation recently. Only nuclear armed Muslim country, and if we can see, the Bagram Air Base is right close to Pakistan here, and not too far from Islamabad. President Trump did say that he wants it because he wants it is very close to nuclear bases in China, but obviously Pakistan has made a move against Israel by signing something with Saudi Arabia, a defense pact that gave them defense of nuclear umbrella. So I read one commentator did say that maybe it's a move against Pakistan because this talk about Bagram Air Base just started just recently. It started just a few out of nowhere in this past week, and it may just be that it follows. It follows on what we believe here now, that President Trump may want this plant back so that he can have control over the Pakistani airspace and possibly interdict should Pakistan want to take part in protecting Israel against a Saudi attack, against an attack, probably against Saudi Arabia. But basically, the whole geopolitical game here now is that they want it mainly so that they can be able to have close access, bomb Pakistan in case Pakistan has any plans to make a move on Israel. We know how very close, very powerful the Israeli lobby is, their influence on Donald Trump. They made him to designate Jerusalem the capital of Israel. He also recognized the Golan Heights. He moved the embassy of America to Jerusalem, and he has sanctioned and approved all the attacks Israel has carried out against its neighbor, especially the last one with Iran, which was a joint project anyway. And it may just not be. I tend to want to see sense in that commentator's view of this talk being because of Pakistan. We have something we never thought we would ever see before. We have here the new president of Syria. His name is Share. Yeah. So we have al-Shara, former commander of ISIS and Al-Qaeda, arrives in New York City. Al-Shara had a $10 million booty on his head at one time. We should understand what happened with Al-Qaeda when they took over in Syria and all the parts of, I think it was from Iraq. They developed mainly from Iraq, and then they expanded to Syria and created their Islamic State. And among those people was Al-Shara. Then he had a different name, but he definitely has affiliations to Al-Qaeda, and he beheaded some journalists. There was a lot of nasty things there until the world had to get against Al-Qaeda, destroy the Islamic State. But later on, he reinvented himself, became part of the struggle against the Assad. And when he became part of the struggle against Assad, he became a tool for the American CIA to use in attacking the Assad government. They were defeated and they stayed in Idlib. They were there in Idlib for all these years, incubated and were empowered by the Turkish Erdogan. And a few months ago, they were taken December of 2024, they were unleashed on the Assad government. The Assad government was very weakened. They didn't have the kind of support they used to have from Russia, and it fell. So al-Sharia has transformed from a former rebel to now coming to the United Nations. It's remarkable. Um, so here we have, this is a very sad thing too. It's in line with what Kuleba said. He said new conscript in the Ukrainian army after increasing the age to above 50. They need conscripts in the Ukrainian army. They are grabbing, capturing, holding them from the streets. We see all those videos. But this one here is a pathetic case. Grandfathers are now being recruited into the Ukrainian army. If this is true, if this is not one of those satirical videos, but one of the good things about Twitter and about X now is that they have what they call community notes. If something is not true, somebody will put a caveat on it down quickly, and there will be a community note. So this here may just be true. This is we should remember that during Vietnam, the average age of the fighter there in Vietnam was 19 years old. Ukraine is now so afraid of the demographic bomb that it is facing that it feels that if it brings down conscription to 18 years, there will be nobody to carry forward with the Ukrainian state. So, so now it is between 25 to 60. They're not even allowed to leave the country. So this is one of the Russian soldiers films an epic explosion of Russian fuel field and lubricants warehouse after attack by eastern direction. Yes, the Ukrainians are doing a lot of damage to Russian energy depots. They're attacking depots, they're attacking refineries, and a lot of the videos come up in Telegram and even in X. They posted, the Ukrainians have a desire, a need to post their successes. The news coming out of the battlefront is not good, and every day we see this swarm of drones. So anytime they send one of their drones and it hits a refinery and there's a big boom, they make it, it's like bots. It's all over for us to see, and that there's no doubt about it. Over 19 refineries and oil depots across different regions in Russia have been damaged and attacked and destroyed. This is a video that shows the first test of a nuclear test, USSR's nuclear weapon test. USSR became a nuclear power 76 years ago and shocked the world with intercontinental ballistic missiles within a few years. Indeed, the people who were part of the Manhattan Project in America, if you have watched Oppenheimer, you'll see that they got worried. This tool was too powerful, and when it was used in Japan against Hiroshima, the very Oppenheimer who led the Manhattan Project that led to the atomic bomb was so worried, and he went to Truman and he said this tool is not a tool that should be used. It should be used sparingly. But it helped America win the war against Japan because the Japanese didn't know what kind of weapon this system this was. It was a mass destroyer. But those same people made sure that they sent the blueprints to the Soviets so that there will be balance. And the Soviets got the blueprint for the nuclear bomb, and they tested it 76 years ago. This is something that is happening reoccurring a lot these days now. What we see here is the commander of Leningrad district, General Lapin, has been dismissed from military service. Yes, the Russians have zero tolerance against corruption. The reports come out all the time of generals that have been um, dismissed, and some that even after they have left, if there are investigations that they took part in corrupt processes, they come out. There's quite a lot of report of former military officers that have been caught. This year again is the one we've already seen. Chinese automaker BYD 9 Extreme EV just hit a verified speed of 496. We have already seen that one. Breaking news, Portugal says it will arrest Netanyahu if he enters the country. Yeah, quite a lot of countries are now beginning to turn on Israel. How true this is, but it says it's breaking news. I will get more details of it. But one thing I know is that most of the countries in the Iberian Peninsula, they are not particularly happy with what's going on in Gaza. And Spain has been very, very, very stringent in its criticism of Netanyahu. Netanyahu's coterie of friends in Europe is reducing, and this may just be one of them, saying that they are going to arrest him. He was convicted by the ICC, and he is as a war criminal, and he has to choose where he goes to. If he has to be very careful where he goes to. Although he can come to America, he can come to New York. There's interesting thing. The Maldini, a Muslim candidate in New York, says that if he comes to New York, he will be arrested. The number of countries turning against Netanyahu because of what's happening in Gaza is quite a lot. This one here now is what's going on all over Europe. Anti-immigration protests in the Netherlands have driven police away. The number is huge. Yes, anti-immigration protest is taking over Europe. Immigration is not a live wire issue in Europe, especially as European economies are being devastated by the fact that they put a lot of sanctions against Russia. Energy cost has gone up, living cost has gone up. Russia was very important to the production of agricultural goods or even facilitators of agricultural growth like fertilizer. And living cost is really high now in Europe. And when they turn around, they don't know who. They blame it on the immigrants. The anti-immigrant parties have grown up in popularity in Germany, in France, even in UK. We saw the massive crowd that came for Tommy Robinson's UK Unity march. It was mainly an immigration right. And I will just end it with this one here. Saudi Arabia will provide approximately 368 million in aid to Yemeni government budget. Yemen could target Israel with more missiles. Yemen and Saudi Arabia made peace. They made peace after, as Defense Minister Prince bin Salman started a war against the Yemenis. He found out the Yemenis, the Houthis, very, 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 very resilient and hardy. They made him have nightmares in cities around Saudi Arabia. Najran was one of such cities. All the cities around Aceh province, Nigerian province, those provinces that border Saudi Arabia were continually peppered with drones and attacks. And when recently there was a mysterious destruction of one of the very big oil refineries in Saudi Arabia, it was thought to be a Yemeni attack. But China brokered peace with Iran. Iran has been a supporter of Yemen, and since then, Saudi Arabia and Yemen have made peace. And Saudi Arabia has, maybe because Yemen has been the strongest supporter of the Gazans, they've been shooting a lot of missiles, even hypersonic missiles at the Israelis and even ships going into Israel. It may just be that this is their own way of signaling that we're now supporting Yemen for all the actions they are taking. We're in support of them and all. Well, there's this breaking news. Canada announces immediate recognition of Palestine. Yes, quite a lot of countries are going to recognize Palestine in the coming days. And we're looking forward to that. What it means generally, I don't know regarding the recognition. If it will it lead to pressure on or the stoppage or ceasefire on the Gaza war, I don't know. Anyway, this here is where I will end my video for today. This is where I'll end my video for today. Yay. This is where I'll end my video for today. If you're new to my channel, please please subscribe. If you I got bamboozled there with technology. This is where I end my video for today. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. If you have any comments regarding the views I just expressed, please put them in the comment section. Do well to like and share. Until I see you in my next video. Goodbye.